Picture this. You're 35, or maybe 45, or 65. It doesn't matter which. Every single morning follows the same pattern. You wake up, you go to work, you eat, you talk to people, and somewhere underneath all of that motion, you know the truth. You're not really living. You're just going through the motions. You're exhausted, but you can't explain why. You've got a stable job, a steady paycheck, a roof over your head, yet something inside you feels hollow, like a house with all the lights on but nobody home. You share your life with someone, but the connection you once had has quietly disappeared. Everything runs on autopilot, as though you've been sleepwalking through your own existence for years, without noticing. And then one ordinary day, you catch your reflection in the mirror, and for a second, you don't recognize the person staring back. Tired eyes, shoulders that carry more weight than they should, and a small voice inside asks the only question that matters: where did I go? Here's the thing, though. This feeling isn't unique to you, and it isn't a product of modern life either. People have been wrestling with this exact emptiness for thousands of years, including some of the most powerful and successful men in history. Marcus Aurelius, the Emperor of Rome, arguably the most powerful man on the planet at the time, wrote in his private journal that peace comes from refusing to obsess over what other people say or do. Seneca, one of the richest men in the ancient world, admitted openly that he battled anxiety, anger, and a constant fear that his life was slipping through his fingers. And Epictetus, a man who started life as a slave before becoming one of history's greatest philosophers, taught something that still cuts deep today: that real freedom doesn't come from owning more, it comes from needing less. Three completely different men, three completely different paths through life, yet they all arrived at the same conclusion. If your mind feels scattered, that's where you start. If your body feels weak, that's where you start. If your heart feels empty, that's where you start. 3 rules, 3 roads back to yourself. 3 levels of rebuilding a life that actually feels like yours again. And that's exactly what we're going to walk through. The 3 Stoic principles that can rebuild you from the inside out, but only if you're willing to actually apply them instead of just nodding along. Let's start with the mind, because everything else depends on it. Marcus Aurelius put it plainly: you have control over your own mind, not over the events happening around you. And the moment you truly grasp that, you find real strength. But look around today, and it's obvious most people have given that power away without even realizing it. Our attention doesn't belong to us anymore. It belongs to headlines, to social feeds, to the endless habit of comparing our lives to strangers online. We scroll, we react, we consume, and somewhere in that cycle, the quiet inner voice that used to guide our decisions goes silent. Your mind has quietly turned into a battleground, and most people never even notice the invasion happening. So the first step is simple to say and hard to do. You have to detox your mind. You cannot build a new version of yourself using the same tired, recycled thoughts. You can't fill your brain with junk all day and expect clarity to show up on its own. A body can't thrive on fast food, and a mind can't thrive on mental garbage either. Here's the challenge. For the next 7 days, dedicate the first 30 minutes of your morning to feeding your mind something real instead of something empty. Read philosophy instead of headlines. Study the lives of people who faced the impossible and came out the other side. Learn a skill that sharpens you, that makes you calmer and more capable of handling whatever the day throws at you. Don't think of this as casual reading. Think of it as training, the same way an athlete trains a muscle. Because your mind is either going to become your greatest weapon or your worst prison, and every scroll, Every thought, every reaction you allow is quietly deciding which one it becomes. The second step is redefining what direction actually means. Most people say things like, "I want to be happy," or "I want to be successful," but the Stoics understood something most of us miss. Happiness was never the actual goal. It's a byproduct of living according to your values. So instead of asking what you want to have, ask who you want to become. There's a real difference between saying, "I want to lose weight," and saying, "I am someone who respects and takes care of their body." The first one keeps your focus stuck on some far-off outcome. The second one shifts your identity, and once your identity shifts, your actions follow naturally. That's not a small habit tweak. That's a complete change in how you see yourself. Write it down. I am becoming. Then finish that sentence, not with some fantasy version of yourself you hope to be one day, but with the person you're choosing to be right now today. Transformation was never something that happens in the future. It happens in this exact moment, through the small decision you're making right now. Step 3 is breaking down an invisible prison you probably built yourself without realizing it. Thoughts like "I can't," "I'm not good enough," or "it's too late" feel like facts, but they're not facts at all, they're walls. And here's the uncomfortable part. You're the one who built them. The Stoics had a word for this, assent, which basically means agreeing with the lies that fear whispers to you. But the moment you stop agreeing with those lies, you start breaking free from them. So take a minute and write down 3 beliefs that have been holding you back. Then rewrite each one into a statement of power. "I don't have time" becomes "I'm learning to prioritize what actually matters." "I'm not smart enough" becomes "I'm developing the skills I need." "It's too late" becomes "every moment is a fresh beginning." Each rewritten sentence works like a hammer against the wall of your old identity, and every single word you write cracks that wall a little more, letting light through. Step 4 is what you could call a mind training ritual, and it's simpler than it sounds. Every morning, write down 3 thoughts that make you stronger and 3 that weaken you. Throughout the day, whenever a negative thought pops up, catch it right away and swap it out for something true instead. At night, ask yourself one honest question. Did my mind work for me today, or did it work against me? This isn't about forcing fake positivity, it's about mental discipline. It's the mindset of someone who stays calm under pressure, who thinks clearly in the middle of chaos, who doesn't get rattled by noise. Because when you master your own thoughts, you master your own fate. When you take command of what goes on inside your head, you take command of your reality. So say this to yourself, not as some quote you read once, but as an actual promise you're making. My mind is my kingdom, and I am the one who rules it. From this point forward, nobody controls it but you. Now let's move to the second rule, fixing the body. Your body isn't separate from your mind, it's the foundation your soul stands on, the vessel that carries your thoughts and your purpose through every single day of your life. You simply cannot maintain a sharp, strong mind while living inside a body that's falling apart. The Stoics understood this reality thousands of years before modern science confirmed it. Marcus Aurelius used to remind himself, right at daybreak, that when it feels hard to get out of bed, remember, you were born to act like a human being, not to hide under blankets avoiding life. So he got up, not because it was easy, but because discipline was simply who he was. The first piece of this is nutrition, and it comes down to discipline, plain and simple. Your body isn't a garbage bin you can dump anything into. Every single bite you take is a choice. Either you're strengthening yourself, or you're sabotaging your own potential. Before you eat anything, ask yourself one honest question. Will this bring me closer to who I want to become, or will it keep me chained to who I used to be? Don't chase a perfect diet, chase awareness instead. Because the moment you start controlling what's on your fork, you start controlling your life. Perfection was never the goal. Consciousness is. Every mindful choice you make rewires the connection between your body and your willpower. Food can either fuel your purpose or feed your weaknesses, so choose it with intention. Next comes sleep, which the Stoics treated as the true source of wisdom and energy. Seneca once warned that it's not that we have too little time to live, it's that we waste so much of the time we do have. Every late night you sacrifice for one more episode, one more scroll, one more mindless distraction is time you're stealing directly from tomorrow's strength. Nobody in history has ever built something great while running on a tired mind and a foggy soul. Sleep isn't laziness, it's recovery. 7 to 8 hours a night isn't a luxury you treat yourself to occasionally. It's a ritual of self-respect you commit to nightly. When you actually sleep well, your thinking sharpens, your emotions settle into balance, and your willpower gets a full reset. Protect your rest the same way a warrior sharpens his sword, because how well you recover today determines how strong you'll be tomorrow. Then there's movement, because emotion physically lives inside the body, and it stagnates the moment you stop moving. If you're anxious, go for a walk. If you're angry, go for a run. If you feel lost, lift something heavy and breathe deeply until you feel your heart beating again. Epictetus, despite living with a permanent physical disability, taught that nothing great is ever created suddenly. It builds gradually, day by day. So move every single day, even if it's only 20 minutes. You don't need a gym membership or expensive equipment. You just need discipline. Take the stairs instead of the elevator. Do some squats. Stretch your body out. Try a cold shower. The specific movement matters less than the message it sends to your own mind. The message that says, I am still in command of myself. Every act of movement, no matter how small it seems, is a quiet declaration of power over your own life. The Stoics also embrace something called voluntary discomfort, deliberately choosing hardship on purpose, specifically to grow stronger from it. Seneca would sometimes sleep on the floor, just to prove to himself that he could survive without luxury. Marcus trained his body in the middle of war campaigns, not in the comfort of a palace. And here's the pattern worth noticing in your own life. Every time you choose the easy path, you're teaching yourself that it's okay to break promises to yourself. But every time you choose the harder path on purpose, you're teaching yourself to trust your own strength. So start small. Drink 1 extra glass of water. Take a cold shower. Run for 10 minutes. Choose vegetables over sugar. These are tiny choices, but they add up to massive transformation, because every small act of discomfort builds quiet, unshakable confidence in yourself. Write this down, not as a motivational quote, but as a genuine commitment. My body is my temple, and I am its loyal guardian. Now get up and actually act like it. That brings us to the third and final rule, fixing the heart. Have you ever felt empty even when your life looks completely fine from the outside? That's not weakness. That's a quiet signal that your heart has gone numb. Somewhere along the way, you built walls to protect yourself from pain, but walls don't just keep pain out. They keep joy out too. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you should be like a rock the waves crash against. It stands firm, and eventually the raging water settles around it. A strong heart isn't one that never feels pain. It's one that stays open even after it's been broken. Start by finding your heart again. Sit somewhere quiet, no phone, no music, no distractions, and ask yourself 3 honest questions. If I couldn't fail, how would I be living right now? What am I pretending not to care about, when deep down I actually care a great deal? And when nobody's watching, who am I really? Don't run from whatever answer makes your chest tighten. That tightness is proof you're still alive inside. Write down what comes up, because those words aren't random thoughts. They're your own soul speaking, asking to finally be heard. You don't rediscover your heart by chasing pleasure. You rediscover it by sitting with the silence underneath all your noise. Next, let go of the weight you've been carrying. Your heart is dragging around old luggage, anger, guilt, regret, disappointment, and none of that is actually who you are. It's just a story you've replayed for far too long. Epictetus said, "It's never what happens to you that causes the pain, it's how you react to it." So, for the next 30 nights, write down one thing you forgive, whether that's another person or yourself. Not because they've earned it, but because you deserve the peace. Letting go doesn't make you weak, it makes you weightless. Forgiveness isn't giving up. It's setting down chains you were never meant to carry in the first place. Finally, live with purpose. A heart with no direction wanders in the dark. The Stoics called this sympathia, the idea that every human soul is connected to every other. Marcus wrote that whatever harms the hive harms the bee, meaning you were never meant to live purely for yourself. Purpose isn't something you stumble upon. It's something you build through action. Notice when you feel most alive. Usually it's while helping someone, creating something, teaching, sharing, or loving. Those moments are clues pointing you home. Start small. Help one person, do one act of kindness, and don't wait for the perfect moment. A heart that gives never runs empty. It expands. These 3 rules aren't separate from each other. A clear mind gives your body direction. A strong body fuels your heart. An open heart keeps your mind alive. Marcus battled anxiety. Seneca doubted himself. Epictetus lost his freedom yet found peace anyway. None of them were flawless. They were just relentless, one choice at a time. A man named James once hit rock bottom. Burned out, disconnected, drowning in self-doubt, until he rebuilt himself this exact way. Mind first through reading, then body through discipline, then heart through forgiveness and service. Months later, his energy had completely changed. He stopped chasing happiness and started living it. Fix your mind and you fix your life. Train your body and you free your soul. Heal your heart and you'll never lose your way again. You weren't born just to survive. You were born to wake up. So take a breath and take your first step today, not tomorrow. If this reached you, don't just watch it. Live it. Share it with someone who needs it. Hit like if it reminded you of your own strength. Subscribe to keep walking this path together. And drop one sentence in the comments. I begin my transformation today.